Hello and welcome to assignment 4 for current issues. What you'll see is it's out this week and it's due in on the 3rd of the 6th, which is the last Sunday before we come back. It actually gives you 2 weeks of college time and a week of half term. It addresses 5 criteria, so I'll talk you through those now. So it's explain the barriers to sports participation, explain 3 cultural influences on sports participation, and then you describe 3 strategies, explain 3 strategies, and evaluate those 3 strategies. And I'll talk to you about that in a bit more detail. What it asks for is you to create a presentation. So part 1 of your presentation will address the barriers. The barriers must be related to a specific age group. And what we've done here is we've selected 16 to 19-year-olds or 16 to 18-year-olds. So what you need to do is talk about each of these barriers here in relation to 16 to 19-year-olds. For example, it might be that a 16 to 19-year-old is currently at college doing a 16-hour-a-week course at college, and then they have a part-time job which they do for 20 hours a week, and then they socialise, and actually these time constraints where they've got all these other factors hinder them from being able to access some physical education because they put these things first before physical activity. Part 2 of the presentation, and you'd follow that, by the way, for all of these. So then you go on to resources and explain that, fitness levels and how that might be a barrier, ability levels and how that might be a barrier for this age group, lifestyles and medical conditions. We then move on to part 2 of the presentation, which is the cultural influences. So you need to talk about 3 cultural influences. There are 4 here, you just pick 3 from them. So I might pick socioeconomic class, and I might think about socioeconomic class, and I might go, right, upper class people might do this sport because of this. And so if you're brought up in that background, you're likely to follow suit because of this, and this. Okay. And then part 3, you're expected to research 3 strategies, and you should be able to describe each of the strategies and what they are, what's their aims and objectives, and what they set out to do, and then explain how they work and how they are trying to target increase in participation. And then you'll finally evaluate those strategies and look at the positives and the areas for development of the strategy. So what's positive, what they've done, are they working towards their aim or not? You might use some data to support what you're saying. So actually they spent this much, but they've only got this many people who are active. Is that good value for money? And does it address everybody, or is it only a certain target market? Is there some bias there? There's lots of different things that you can consider, but you need to evaluate your strategies. Now, if I take you to the PowerPoint, which just sits behind here, I've created a template for you to go through. So here, barriers, you've got 16 to 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, doesn't really matter, and you explain how time's a barrier, how resources are a barrier, fitness levels, ability, lifestyle, medical conditions, and you'll present this information. Okay, you'll then talk about 3 cultural influences. It doesn't have to be these 3. It could be another one. So it could be you could replace one of these for age if you want to, and explain how these cultural influences have an impact on sports participation. And then you're going to do 3 strategies. So strategy 1 is this girl can. So you're going to describe what this girl can strategy is. You're going to explain how it functions and how it works and how they aim to try and increase participation. And then you'll look at the positives and the negatives of this strategy. You'll put some information in here. Then you'll move on to what's called Active Nation. If you're not sure what it is, there's a link here, but it will also be taught in your lesson. This link will take you to Active Nation. It'll tell you everything about Active Nation. So you'll be able to describe Active Nation as a strategy, explain it, and say how it operates and how it works towards trying to increase participation. And again, you'll then look at the positives and negatives of the Active Nation strategy. And then finally, the 3rd strategy, which is a local strategy, it's called Sport for Life. You'll describe what that Sports for Life strategy is. You'll then explain that Sports for Life strategy, and then finally you will evaluate the positives and negatives of the Sports for Life strategy, making sure that when you get to these evaluative points that you give reason for why it's a positive and why it's a negative. And that is the assignment in its entirety. You will be asked to present that. And the lecturer will give you a presentation time, and that will be posted to Moodle so that you know and you're aware of when you're presenting.